Anna. So I'll stop here for now. We're going live.
Okay. All right. Welcome to our weekly New Gambia platform talk show. Today we're gonna be talking about community empowerment. Today is April 10th, 2022. We have our guests here. We have two guests. We have Mona Davis. She works with public safety, and she will introduce herself. And we have Mohammed Mada. She is the president of the African Advisory Council, the Bronx Borough president. And I have my partner here, Sam Sise, my co-host from Indiana. Sam, welcome. Welcome, Mona. Welcome, Mada. And I'm your host, Momodu Sawan in New York City. Thank you, guys. So let's go right into the program. We just got to start with brief introduction of our guests. Mona, ladies first. You can go ahead, and then you can give the baton to Mada also to introduce himself. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mamadou, for having me on your program today. It's an honor to join you to discuss these important issues that matter to our community. My name is Mona Davis. I am a parent. I have two children. I have a soon-to-be 24-year-old that's completed her university education. And I have a soon-to-be 14-year-old who is in the 8th grade going to the 9th grade. So the 8th grader is my son, and the soon-to-be 24-year-old is my daughter. My background is political strategy and communications. I have a company, Social Impact Strategies. We're a communications company. I work with candidates who are running for office. I work with elected officials. I also work with nonprofit organizations, labor unions, as well as businesses. But separate to that, I am an activist. And this is what I call my so-called philanthropic work, my volunteer work. And that's what most New Yorkers know me for. And that is my education advocacy, public safety advocacy, and school safety advocacy as president of the New York City Parents Union, as well as a founding member of the New York City School Safety Coalition. All I care about is ensuring that every child has equal access to a high quality education. I care about children being safe in schools because no child can learn in an unsafe environment. And I care about our children being safe in our communities. And right now, communities throughout New York City are under siege with the rampant gun violence. I have to say, I'm really happy that you're having this conversation, Mamadou, because a lot of people don't know, but I am South African. I was born in South Africa, but I was raised in Bed-Stuy. Wow. My family came over here in the early 80s. So even though I've grown up here just about all of my life, I am very much a South African. And for us, for African immigrants like my mother, who came here with, as a single woman with her two children, she and every other African immigrant parent that comes here, we come here, we bring our children here, or we raise our children here because we want our children to have a future. And right now, what I see is happening, and this is why I'm so happy we're going to have this conversation, is because I think that African parents need to be made aware of what's going on in our communities. This public safety, this gun violence, the school safety crisis, what's going on does affect us. And as Africans, we cannot continue to live in silos because what's happening in the streets is coming into our homes. And right now, with the gun violence going on, especially in the Bronx, that has the highest population of Africans, not just in New York City, but in the United States, as well as in Harlem, we have a crisis. And I think that the African community needs to wake up and smell the coffee because their children our children are now becoming part of this street culture. So again, thank you for this opportunity to speak with you and the other guests, my ride or die over there, Muhammad Mada, my partner in crime. But I'm really happy that we're going to have this conversation because it's long overdue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that Mona introduction. And Mohammed Mada,
Yes,
welcome.
sir.
You can introduce
Thank
yourself.
you. Thank you, Mamadou. And, you know, how do you follow that? I don't know. How do I follow that lengthy resume, that amazing work? But, you know, we'll try. My name is Mohammed Mada. And as Mamadou mentioned, I am the chairman of the African Advisory Council to the Bronx Borough President's Office. Not President Mamadou, it's chairman because it's a council. So,
Thanks
yeah.
for that correction. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, because you know we don't want people to start thinking, you know, there's a difference between president and chairman. So yeah, absolutely. And you know, our community can be very, very picky when it comes to choice of words.
Titles, yeah.
Yes, so it's important that we make that distinction. But again, you know, I just want to express my appreciation to you, the New Gambia platform, and Sam Cisse for putting this together. This is a very, very important conversation that we need to have. Um, Again, I'm from Ghana, as you mentioned earlier. I have been the Executive Secretary General of the National Council of Ghanaian Associations, which is the umbrella organization of all Ghanaian associations within the tri-state area. I've served as the board member I'm actually still a board member of the New York Botanical Garden, right here in the Bronx, which is one of the biggest institutions not only in New York, but in the entire US. And a lot of people would be amazed at some of the things that goes on at the Botanical Garden. People just see a space where you know, maybe you go and look at flowers, but some key policy issues go on, you know, in that space. And a few weeks ago, we actually met with the governor, Kathy Hochul, and some elected officials, with Congressman Richie Torres at the Botanical Garden. And so it is an area, or it is a space where I encourage all Africans to seek it out. You know, there are some wonderful cultural institutions in our communities that provide spaces for us to go and relax and enjoy, and also have, you know, important conversations. And, you know, people need to, as Mona said, wake up and smell the coffee. There's so much going on. These are spaces that we can also use to our advantage. Other communities do, but we don't. So hopefully people would actually go and visit the Botanical Garden, become members of the garden, and cherish this wonderful cultural institution that we have in our community, in our own backyard. I mean, people come from all over the world to visit the garden, and it's important that we, as people who are here, get to enjoy that. So moving on with my introduction, I happen to also be president of Yankasa Association, which is the Ghanaian Muslim community here in New York. And I think that's where I met Mamadou the first time, you know, when he was running a campaign for one of our young sisters. And I'm like, wow, this is a very dynamic young man that we really can actually work with in our community. And I think we've always had a very, very good relationship ever since. In terms of advocacy work, you know, I have done quite a bit here in my small District 16, where I work with the late Reverend Foster, who was our city council member. And I call him my political father. I work with him on several issues, housing issues, to really advocate for housing for our community. And one of the things that I'm extremely proud of is that this neighborhood where I live in Mamadou, maybe you know, Highbridge.
Yeah.
You know, it used to be people people wouldn't come here people wouldn't live here for free. But you know, working with Reverend Foster, we managed to get some things done, get some more of our community members in this neighborhood, and we transformed the neighborhood. You know, today it has a very large African population in Highbridge, and you know, we're proud to say that, you know, I had a role in that. Even the Highbridge Islamic Center, we worked with Reverend Foster to help the Gambian, that's a Gambian community mosque. And Reverend Foster actually played a key role in helping that community to get that space. He was actually trying to help us because, you know, even though the space was led by Gambians, it was a Muslim community. And so we were all working with them to try to get a bigger space. And unfortunately, it didn't happen. But I'm so glad that we are having this conversation today. As Mona said, as you know, we actually were scheduled to meet with the Bronx DA and on exactly this issue of safety and public safety in our communities. We had the meeting and we were going to do a follow-up, but Twin Parks happened. And once Twin Parks happened, all the focus shifted to Twin Parks, but we will definitely do the follow-up on that. So thank you for having me on this wonderful Sunday, and happy and blessed Ramadan to all my Muslim brothers and sisters watching us today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. So we have our other partner here, co-host, Alas from Germany. He's also
coming very late today.
no worries, Alas. So we have them introduce themselves. So we got Alas, you just introduce yourself briefly, and you can just jump into the topic.
Okay, I'm Alas Gear from Germany. As you know, I think I'm the only person who is not in the US now. But I was here. We are one of the pioneers. I and Mr. Savani. I stay here in Germany and also a long time. Come also from Gambia. I think over 30 years now. I know here more than Gambia almost, but always thinking of going back to Gambia anytime. The topic was about crime and public safety. Maybe I missed something from others because I came very late. I don't know whether.
Yeah, no, we haven't started. We haven't started yet. We're just gonna let
just started.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's just an introduction, so we're gonna just jump right into it, and then we can continue.
Okay.
All right. So now, yeah, thank you, Alas, for that. And then Sam has already introduced himself, and I'm Mohamed Sawane. I'm the founder of New Gambia Platform, and then the founder of the Gambian Youth. I've been, you know, also helping the Ghanaian community and other communities. Like if any community needs me, I'm here for them. I work with MADA when I was running IMA's campaign 2013. That was a successful campaign where I met a lot of Ghanaians. So I live in New York City here as well. So let's give the floor to them. Muna, I mean, who's gonna come first about public safety?
Yeah, I'm a ladies first. Mona, you're welcome.
Ladies first, right? Always ladies first. All right. So Mona, now we know the issue of crimes is even hitting back home as well. We can relate this, connect this to even our issues in back home. Crimes in our community now is skyrocketing. Children are involved, you know, some crimes that even end up taking lives of parents. And our Bronx here, we've been victimized a lot. Like Mara said, we are proposed to go to DS office to talk further about this. So you have the floor. What is your take on crimes, and then how can we create public safety? And Mara can also come in.
Well, I mean, we're here. We see what's going on in our communities. And when I say in our communities, I mean throughout the 5 boroughs. In every borough, every community is experiencing this rise in crime. a large part of it is attributed to the so-called bail reforms that were passed in 2019 and enacted in 2020. Look, as we're talking about this right now, just on Friday, a straight A student, a 16-year-old young lady, lost her life at dismissal on a Friday afternoon outside of the South Bronx High School educational campus. For those unfamiliar with New York City, a lot of our school buildings house more than one school. So the South Bronx building, high school building, housed 3 schools. And a student from each of those schools was involved in the shooting, was a victim in the shooting. The one young lady, she was shot in her chest and she died on the pavement outside of her school. We have a high number of gun seizures, firearms, loaded guns being seized in our schools here in New York City. We are having drive-by shootings. We are having street wild west shootings outside of schools. We are having students pistol whipped outside of schools. And when I tell you this, don't think that this is only happening in Black and Hispanic communities. The pistol whipping happened in Staten Island. It was all over the news. The recent wild west shootout where they were running in the street, bum, 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 shooting at each other happened by Cardozo High School, which is in Queens, in a white neighborhood. The shooting that happened on Friday that claimed the life of a straight A student, a 16-year-old straight A student, happened in our community. And for me, what I want to talk about on this platform, because I know this platform is going to reach not just the Gambian community, but the African community in general, is that these gun seizures in schools, these shootouts in schools, the crime, the assaults that are happening in our streets, it's not happening with other people's, with only other ethnic groups' children. It's also happening with children of African immigrants. There was a gun found at a Bronx middle school. Guess what? That student last October was African, an African student. The drive-by shooting that happened outside of Fordham High School, also last year. This is all within this school year. Our school year is from September to June in New York City. That was an African student. We have a lot of young African students, students of African parents. Some of them are born here, some of them are born back home and they immigrated with their families, who are now getting involved in the street and thug life. And for me, as an African mother, as the mother of an 8th grade student that is going to high school, and as an advocate, I think it's really important that we address that. Just in general in New York City, we're all under siege with rampant gun violence. We're all under siege with crime. You know, crimes across the board have skyrocketed, but when it comes to shootings, it's 100% rise since 2019. So for me, it's important that the African community also begins to get involved, because let me tell you, many of these young people who are found with loaded handguns, who are arrested, some of them who are shot, some of them who are killed, whether it's outside the school or in the street, in their communities, are young African people. And for me as a mother, I think that we need to have a family conversation, and parents need to become aware and not think that their children are not getting involved in this thug life that's happening right now in our streets. And it's not, and I just want to make sure to say that it's not just gang related, it's not just guns and shootings. They're also getting involved with other crimes, with assaults, with robberies. These are our children. So again, I'm speaking as a mother and I'm saying to our African community, parents, you need to wake up and smell the coffee, because don't think that your child is not involved with anything. We need to have these conversations with our children, because right now, no matter what, in New York City, no child is safe. No child. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mona, for that.
Thank you very much, Mona.
Yeah.
It was very interesting.
Yeah.
Sad though.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. So Mada can come in, and then Alasi can come in as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Mara, you're welcome.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Alas, and nice to meet you all the way in Germany. Yeah, I think what I wanted to add to what Mona said is that, you know, this level of violence is happening again, just to reiterate and to emphasize the point that it's happening in New York City. Yes, it's happening in every community. Yes, but for us, a lot of times, one of the reasons why we as Africans, often we think, no, this is, my child cannot be involved in something like that. You know, we have this sense of denial when it comes to our children. And I think that's the point that I really want to hit on. When we met with the Bronx District Attorney's Office, and Mona was there, um, you know, surprisingly, she had her entire lead staff there. Every single crime, from cyber crime, you know, to shootings, every single leader on her staff that was handling a specific crime was there. And they talk, all of them, you know, talked about how much they are seeing more and more of us, our children, getting involved in all kinds of crime. You know, cyber crime, the shootings, the assaults, the robberies. You know, African children were involved in that. And one of the things that the Bronx DA mentioned, which is something that we also, and I think that's what causes this sense of denial, is this cultural identity crisis that our children go through. And that is something that we as their parents need to address, or we need to find a way to resolve that identity crisis in our children. Are they Africans? Are they Americans? Are they African Americans? Who are they? So, and a lot of times, I think this is where we as the parents, as community leaders, need to really focus on. You know, in some of our meetings, there were talks about some of these crime prevention groups and organizations that are getting money from state and city and federal agencies to try to work with a lot of these young people. But those monies are not coming to our communities. Or if they are, they're not targeting our young people. And because of this cultural identity crisis, these organizations don't know how to approach our children, right? Because of the identity crisis, we need to find a specific way of dealing with our children. And I think that is something that we can also try to, as leaders, try to tap into some of these funds that's out there, so that we as leaders, as activists, as parents can design programs specifically for our young people. And believe me, one of the things that Mona was saying earlier about a young man who was shot, Mona is actually working with that particular young man directly. She went to his house. She sat with his parents. And the funny thing is, the parents don't want the community to know that their son was shot.
Wow.
They want to sweep it under the rug. So how do you address, this issue if we as parents don't want the community, we don't want to alert our community, we don't want to warn our community about some of the violence that is going on in our communities? But thank God there was another incident where the mother of a child actually called the school and told the school that her son was coming to school with a loaded gun. This was an African mother. Warned the school that her son was coming to school with a loaded gun. And thankfully, the young man was apprehended, the gun was confiscated, and, there was no harm done. But these are some of the issues that we're facing in our community, and we need to address it head on. I mean, I don't purport to have answers, because these are complicated issues, but we can't address them if we don't talk about them. So I want to thank you, Mamadou, and all your wonderful guests for giving us the platform to talk about this and to raise the awareness within our communities. This is really a very critical conversation. So thank you. That's what I have to add to what Mona said. And I think Mona can chime in some more before we. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Mother.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. Before Mona comes, I can just ask my co-panelists, Sam and Alas. Alas, you wanna come in? I think Sam is
Yeah, I think Sam was on the way today, as usual, in the car. Hello, Sam. Can you hear us? But you're on mute.
Yes,
Yeah, okay. Okay.
I can hear you. Yeah, I was
Okay.
listening because I was driving. I'm driving. That's why I took
I
my
know,
camera
it's not
off so I
easy,
can focus on this. But
before we come to Mona
It's
again,
very interesting.
if you guys can just come in and then ask.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to add my salt in it. Yeah, it's very sad though, but I think this is, as Nada said also, I mean, there are a lot of problems when we come to this topic. I would not only say that because the parents are, because it's a topic whereby one can point the finger to all, whether it's the community or the fathers, the parents, the kids themselves. So we just have to have something like oversight and try to see where are these burning issues and how are we going to deal with it for the betterment. I mean, because there is no problem, we used to say it here in Germany. There is always a solution. So what Mr. Mara said is also a very important thing about this identity crisis, which is normal. I mean, the kids who are born from us, say, well, like me, because I'm like every other African person in New York. We bring kids here. I mean, some are even born in Gambia, but they came very little. So their world is here and not in Africa or elsewhere. You understand? So these kids, normally, they should not forget to see their culture. That is one thing, where they come from and things like that. And they should also understand that their world is here at the moment. They can know where they come from, but that doesn't mean that even the parents should also understand that. Even the parents should understand that even if they are from Africa, they should also live in New York City like Africans. Why? Because of the society. New York is in America. It's not in Africa. And the kids who are born there, they are Americans. So the parents should not always see them as Africans. No, they have all the rights, being an American, and they have to go to school like an American, and they have to adopt also the culture like American. Just that the parents should be responsible, whether they are thinking like African or American. It's the responsibility of the parents always to see that they go the right way. You understand? I mean, even white people, not only African or something, even white people, if they don't take care and leave their kids playing computer the whole day, one day they'll surprise them. Why? Because this kind of advice is not there. The parents never had the time to tell the person where is east and where is west, what is good or what is bad. You know, sometimes it's just because of our Westly, how to call it, cultural living. Everybody is running. Everybody is running after money. You know, when you have two parents, they have to pay their bills and all. Everybody is rushing every morning, and when they come back, maybe they just meet at the eating table. That is not alive in America here likewise. So I feel sorry always for the kids because the parents don't have the time.
Right.
As we used to get in Africa, your parents are watching you from mornings to evening. You are sitting with your parents enjoying this love from mornings to evening. You know, all these things we should not forget. While living in New York, being an American is not easy to follow up, but it's still easy how other Americans brought their kids to the right way. Being an American or Indian or I don't know, African, you can still do your job responsible as parents because we should not always point the finger at the kids. They say nobody is born being a criminal. Am I right?
Right, right.
We are all born innocent.
Yeah.
So being otherwise or a special person is always formed by the environment somebody is staying, or by the environment and the mentality, you know, what the kids are seeing every day, what they are hearing every day, you know, and whether it's always mockery in their society, you know, whether there is always disrespect on their side, in their society, all these things form somebody. So the parents have a light or a heavy duty to do because they have to fight and help that kid to understand all these problems in their environment. You know, giving them everyday advice. Don't do this, don't do that. I already experienced that in my life, and it was not like that and that. So they know you are just protecting them from even experiencing the disaster first, just by giving them as parents duty advice. Sometimes it's even too much for them, you know, especially at the puberty age, you know, when where they think they are the boss, nobody's to talk to them and so. But as a parent, still try and have that understanding, always try to get there near, I mean, get them near you so that you can communicate, not to be harsh like you want to train them like Africans, which is off the case, and that is always a problem. That will not function. You can try it. You'll tell me, alas, you are right. It will not go. It will not go. We have that here also. The people from Turkey, when they come here and try to pull the kids, you know, with their cultural thing, it will not work.
Exactly.
Even if they want to go home, these kids will tell them, where am I going? Are you crazy? I don't know that place. I know here. which is right. And they have their friends here. They never been there. So one day you tell them, pack your things and go. There's another problem.
Yeah,
you know?
but
So,
some parents do send their kids home just to get, you know, that home training. So that
is also just, I would say, for me, it's just an excuse because people don't have time, especially in America. People don't have time. Some people are having 5 jobs just to survive. So if you are parents in Africa and so, you can send them there. But that's just going to be difficult for the child again to come again and adopt again. Because our fear is always when this person
But
is in New York, we'll forget our culture.
We have seen some improving records. There are some statistics that at least half of them get improved.
Yeah. I mean, you should not forget that they should know their culture. I started with that. But they are living in New York. They should not live like that. You understand? Sending the child home to know 2 or 3 years the language and things like that. But you have to be careful. You should not adopt, for example, the life of a Gambian when you plan that that kid should come here again. Because you know when we come here, what we all have to go through. We have to change our mentality. All what we knew in Africa, we have to adopt the system here, which is not an easy thing. For kids, it's easy. When they're somewhere, they can adapt to the environment very quickly. If you send your kid today to Gambia, the next time you go for holidays, you think he was never in America before. Because that is the phase where they are very, very flexible. You understand? So don't give them heavy load. Trying to put that, which is always a problem also, with especially our African people here, trying to bring the children like Africans, it will not work. So this tension, when this tension is there and then build up a distance, you understand? That's where the catastrophic comes.
So I think we got,
Prayer that they mislead themselves is very big. So I think there's enough.
Thank you for giving that insight. So I think Sam can come in, and Imona has also some to I guess answer to that quickly.
Sam, you're welcome.
Thank you, Alice, for the insight.
But I think
thanks, Alice. Thanks, Alice. Thanks, Mada, and thanks, Mona, for all the specifics that you guys gave. I think today is a day that usually when we have a guest, especially someone who is an expert in this subject, I consider them a subject matter expert, which is Mona here. So I don't want to take much time here, but and also because I'm driving. Mada and Mona, yeah, those two. Mada and Mona, for sure. Those two are the subject matter experts here. I'd like to allow them more time to talk, so I'm gonna say less and also turn my camera off and listen more. But one thing I do want to say is when it comes to safety and safety of our children and in schools and things like that, there's a lot that needs to start at home. As parents, we are all parents. We all have children, so. As parents, it's very important to know what kind of kids hang with your kids. Very important to look at it from that standpoint, to know the children that play with your children, and not only knowing them, but allow them to, like my kids play basketball in front of my house, and the neighborhood kids come and play there too as well. But they have friends that they visit, go to their houses, and I allow them to bring their friends to my house so I can know who these people are. I want to know who they are. What kind of attitude do they have? What is their behavior? And get to know all of these things there so that I can make sure that they're not hanging with the wrong people. If I, at any given time, I observe any child that is abusive or has a bad attitude and things like that, I would advise my children to stay away from them. I've not seen that. Thank God, the kids that hang with my children are all good kids in the neighborhood, and so I thank God that we in my area here we don't have that kind of issue here. But a place like New York that's densely populated and a big place as well. Is a challenge there, and like Mona said, is devastating to hear that a child was shot like that. So very important to really coach our children, guide them through, make sure they hang with the right people, the right children, and at the same time look at their behavior. Talk to them when they come from school, see what happened, and also how was school today, and things like that. And you know what happened in the school bus? Well, here my kids get on the school bus, so anything that happened in the school bus, want to know all those things. And as parents, if there is anything that we need to pick up a phone and call the school and complain about or say something, we need to do that. You know, so that those kinds of behaviors don't happen in the school bus or anything like that, and not allow or even encourage any type of bullying anywhere whatsoever. All of this starts somewhere there. So looking at the root cause and also doing what we can do as parents at home is very important. So Mona, I'm gonna let you take this, and you too, you and Mada being the subject matter experts here, I'm gonna let you take this on, and we'll all listen. Thank you for your time, Doyle.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Sam. Before I let Mona come in, I just want to add just few 2 points or so to this. Then I will let Mona come in. I think my own idea, being that I'm a parent here in New York City, and I'm, you know, my kids are mostly boys. I think we need to be part of our kids' life. Period. Parents need to be part of our kids' life, day-to-day life. I mean, you might think it's time consuming. You might think it is, you know, you need to go after that dollar. But let me tell you, the life of your kids is better than that dollar that you are fighting for. You will never be millionaire because of working 9 to 5 like that. It rarely happens. So what people have to know is building a better future being instilled in your kids' life. And this is not only in US, even now in Gambia and Ghana and South Africa and other nations, people need to be part of their kids' life, because the influence of negativity, the influence of this internet and other things has overcome the whole world. The kids in Africa, in Gambia, they know they can go to internet and learn certain things. They don't have to learn them from the street. They, especially this TikTok and all these other new apps coming in, they teach my kids know so many stuff that they would not have had any idea of knowing if it was not for this TikTok and stuff like. Sometimes I tend to, I'm an IT person, but sometimes I tend to hate technology to some point because of the negativity that it creates, and then social media.
Sometimes. Yeah.
So it is very important to be part of your kids' life. Look at their phones. Lock their phones if you can be. Put a parental code. I put a parental code. Daddy, can I have my parent code? Yes, I will go and give you access to your parent code. So then, you know, I lock all their laptops and their, you know, phones. You know, they have to get a parent code wherever you will, and then track their activities online. We also have to be part of going to a parents-teachers meeting. When your kids are in school, they're not doing well, you know, go there and be part of them. See what is their issue. Are they going influenced by a bad kid? I observed, you know, one of my kids at some point, like 2nd grade, he was influenced by someone who is making him fail his grades, and then he, you know, following that kid, and that kid ended up being sent out of the school. So I had to step in to make sure that stopped. They don't, you know, I told the teachers, and I also, you know, make sure they don't sit together, because the kid always distract him. So I told the teacher to put him in the front and then let them separate, even at the lunchtime. So that's how, you know, and that kids end up being sent out of the school. It could have been my kid being sent too, because if I don't step in. So let's get, you know, involved with our kids' schools. Let's know where they are at. Let's go with them. My kids are, you know, I'm like 16, 15, but I go to their soccer practice every Saturday. I don't let them go by themselves. But I've seen other African parents, they leave their kids of that same age. They go by themselves. And
it's very
God
important
knows
what you do.
Right. God knows after the game what they do, where they go, what they're doing on the street. It's not even safe.
Yeah, and in fact, on your part, Mr. Sawane, you are showing the love of these kids, you know?
Exactly. That
they
also
need it. They need it. They need
exactly.
it. Whether you go to school meetings and, you know, following them with their sports, you know, they are seeing this friendship
and actually, alas, actually, psychologically, it makes them more empowered, more feel loved, more proud of what they're doing.
That's it. Because when they miss the love, that's most of the time where they miss the way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Just because of frustration. Or let me do this so that I'll see the reaction of my parents, to pain the parents. Sometimes they do it just because of that, for a reason.
Exactly. So, but if in a household, a husband is hustling, back home they are killing you with calls, tons of calls. We have this, we need this, we need and people are depending on you. The husband is working, struggling, trying to build a house. The wife is in a different direction. Now everybody is like competing. The family is not being taken care of, being paying attention. The kids are going astray. This is what caused this problem. If you ask most of the kids involved in gun violence or a violence crime, they don't have the love or the attention, or nobody is there for them. So they end up going out.
Then they'll say, I don't care because nobody loves me, right? When they come to that point,
so
I
will stop here, and then Mona can come in, because since it's in Mona and then Mada, so that we can get a lot out of them. But I just want to add that to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salame.
So there are three things that I just want to touch on. Comments from Elhaz as well as Mamadou. So the first one I want to talk about, African parents sending their children back home. So I would say now that's not going to work. Years ago, that would have worked. And I'll give you an example. My mother shipped my behind back to Cape Town, South Africa in 1988 when I was wilding out, okay? She sent me to Cape Town. This is 1988. Apartheid is still in existence. She sent me from Bedford-Stuyvesant, Brooklyn, to Cape Town, to my father, to South Africa, who was very strict. I come from a very religious family in Cape Town. She shipped me home for a year, okay? That's what my mother did to me. And you know what?
Sorry for that.
It worked. It worked.
Yeah, it worked, but was not easy. And that's a long time ago. That time New York is very different.
Exactly. Yeah. New York was very different. We're talking 1988. Cape Town, South Africa was very different. Now, if I try to say to my 13, soon to be 14-year-old son, if you don't, my son is well behaved. I have no problems with him. But if I were to say to him, oh, you're not behaving, I'm sending you, because with me, my father was there and my siblings. Now I can say, okay, I'm going to send you to your uncle or to your aunt, and you're going to go down there and live with your cousins and stuff. My son would be like, yes, because he loves Cape Town. Yeah. Actually, listen, whether it's Accra, whether it's Dar es Salaam, whether it's Cape Town, it doesn't matter. It's the same now. Back home is the same as it is here. It's not just this global economy that we're dealing with. We're also dealing with global behavior, with social media, with these kids growing up before their time. It doesn't make a difference. That's
not the solution then. That's not the solution.
It's definitely no longer the solution. At one point, it was the solution. Like I said, my mother wasn't having it. She shipped me back home. When I came back right. But we can't do that now.
Because wherever they are having internet. So you can't put a border.
Yeah, so we can't, but when we talk about, families not really, parents working so hard, especially with African parents, usually in many cases, both parents are working hard, both parents are working long hours, both parents are working more than 2 jobs. So, they either leave it to the older siblings to take care of the younger siblings, or they're like, okay, our kids are going to be okay. And then they just, they don't have time to go to soccer practice. They don't even have time. I mean, their children aren't even really in sports, period. Like that right now, it's almost like a luxury that your children are involved in sports right now in New York City. So it's not that. I think what we need to do, and Amada touched on that, we need to provide more support for the families, the mothers and the fathers in our community, as well as in other communities. They are single parent households. A lot of them are single mothers raising the kids. Many times the fathers are nowhere to be seen. They're not involved in their children's lives. And, parents are struggling and dealing with this COVID pandemic. It's made things even more difficult for many families. The other thing also, coming back to this, is, like I said, families are struggling. And the street life that many of these young African youth are getting involved with, the street life brings money, lots of money.
Wow.
You understand? We had a student that was caught with a loaded gun a couple of months ago at a Brooklyn high school. He had $30,000 in his backpack. So wow. He was caught at school with the loaded gun and $30,000 in cash. The student whose mother reported him, that Mada is talking about, guess what? That student was Gambian, and that student drove a BMW, and he was 16 years old. So what is he doing 16 years old driving a car?
There's something wrong.
16 years old with a BMW, and he had a loaded gun at school.
Wow.
The student that was shot in a drive-by, that student is Guinean. Do you understand?
So all within this mafia societies, you can say.
Precisely. And when I tell you, these students don't come from quote unquote bad families. Okay. So it's not just supporting the parents, educating them, engaging them, providing support that they need, but we also need to provide opportunities for our youth. We need to provide opportunities for them to have a part-time job, for them to do an apprenticeship or a paid internship. Many of us are small business owners. Maybe it's time we also start hiring our youth, because they need money. They're teenagers. They need money. They want the best sneakers. They want the nice coats. They want the Apple Watch. Like, these are the pressures that they are dealing with. They want to fit in. Nobody wants to wear reject sneakers. So,
I know. That's why I said here, I mean, you are very right. And it's very important. And it's the same issue what Mada was saying. You need this help, because all what you are trying to suggest now, I think without financial support, it's going to be difficult. So I don't know in New York, if I told her it was here in Germany, I would have given you advices what to do and where to go. But that is very important. You try and cite where are these institutes or governmental institutes who can give support in this, because even if you come with the reason that is about peace and the peaceful living of the community, you give them good grounds. I think even if you send an application to World Bank, you will have a support. Or you write, talk with the mayor. He's a very nice man. Who is yet your mayor now? I think is somebody one can communicate with, because I've read some things about him. So I don't think he's a difficult person. I mean, so I can even get a connection to Joe Biden and help you people in these things, because what you are suggesting, Mona, is the only thing, but you need support.
Yeah, thank you.
And that brings me to my third point. piggybacking on what Mada said. Now, is there money out there for these programs? Yes, there is. There's millions and millions of dollars that go to nonprofit organizations that are supposed to provide support services for families, that are supposed to provide violence interrupter programs for our youth. But guess what? This is where the cultural awareness and the cultural sensitivity and just that outreach comes into play. They are not engaging our community. They're engaging Black American and Hispanic communities, but not the African community. So this is where leadership matters. Because you see, the reason why they are engaging those communities is because leaders from those communities got together, just as Mada did, brought us together to sit down with the district attorney's office. We need to come together and sit down with these agencies, with these city agencies that are giving money to these nonprofits and say, hey, here's this nonprofit that's in our community that needs the support so that they can provide youth programs, so that they can provide internships, so that they can provide programs to support families, especially single parent households. You know,
I think the best connection and the quickest way.
Precisely. But this, again, this is why leadership matters. In the African community, there is a vacuum. There is a big vacuum. The vacuum that is there, we can't always rely and put all, and I do it all the time, so I'll be the first. We can't always put it on our leaders like Mada, which, by the way, doesn't stop me from still putting stuff on him. But we need more to step up to the plate. Because I'll give you, when we had the meeting with the Bronx District Attorney's Office, she had everyone, she had the heads of the different units that were there, from cybercrime to robbery to murder, like every unit was there. We reached out to members, to leaders, so-called leaders for the African community, because this is a crisis. And not a lot of people showed up. So if we're not coming to the table as a community, as a united community, and saying, listen, we're not getting the support that we need for our families, for our youth, nothing is going to change. Nothing. And then we also need to know who are these individuals or organizations who are already currently on the ground that we can tap into to provide these services. I know we have a lot of different country groups, association, this country association, that country association. Yeah, guess what? These countries that have associations, it's their youth that are being caught with loaded firearms. It's their youth that are being involved in a lot of the crime. And I don't see what they're doing to engage, but perhaps they don't know how or what steps or what they can do, but they can also engage city leaders. But we need to come together.
Somebody's phone is ringing. Is that Sam?
So
go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, to me, that is the bottom line. We can talk about it. People can think that, no, it'll never be my child. No, my child will never get involved with gangs, or no, my child will never get involved with crime. We can't say that the parents don't love them, because this young man that they arrested on Friday, that they arrested yesterday for the shooting that happened on Friday, one, he used a ghost gun. Ghost guns are plastic guns. They're not detectable, okay? So he used a ghost gun. He lives with his mother. His mother loves him to death. She's hardworking. Even the articles written about the mother and the family say she's hardworking. The father is also there. The father is involved. Yesterday at his arraignment, both of his parents were there. When he walked into, this is in the New York Post article, when he walked into the courtroom, he looked at his parents and he said to them, "I love you." And they said, "I love you back." After the arraignment, because they held him, after the arraignment, when he walked out of the courtroom, this is in the New York Post article that's there online right now. When he walked out, the mother and the father said again to him, "I love you." And he said, "I love you." And everybody's wondering what happened to this child, because guess what? His mother loves him. He comes from a good home. The parents are not together, but the father loves him and the father's active. What happened? So it can happen in any family.
Okay.
You know,
we come back to what Sam said. He's not to be seen now, but maybe it's also one of those things. If you have your kid, because this time is you can see that it's definitely kind parental problem or family problem.
Yeah.
But can be an influence from outside. That could be from the school up to sports group. Yeah, that's always the danger.
It's important to know who your children are hanging out with.
Right.
Or who are your children playing video games with. My 13-year-old, he only goes to one family's house, and that's his friend El Haji, and they're Senegalese. They're from Senegal.
And you know them.
That I know them. I go to the house. That's the only house my son goes to. I'm the only house that his parents send El Haji and his two brothers to. That's it. Nobody else. And my son doesn't bother to ask me.
Mona, just quick question here. So you are saying that the love is not, according to all the, before I come to Mara, according to all the things that you said, it's not about the love anymore. It's not about working, hours anymore. It's all about, not about taking kids to parents. It's all about supporting these families. And then the leadership needs to be out in the ground. The leadership for African community need to be out on the ground to make sure that we have organizations, we identify, tap into these resources and help these people, because there's already a situation which is a competition in terms of, kids going to school, and then, what their peer pressure from what they need to wear and stuff like that. So the only solution that you think is feasible is having, grants or government aids or stuff that could go to our community to make sure that we provide for these families, so that at least they can have part-time, the kids can have part-time jobs or internship programs or things that will give them income so they can meet their needs. Is that what you're driving at?
That's partially what I'm driving at. See, every situation is unique. We can't just paint with a broad brush. Every family is unique. Every situation with the child is unique. What I'm saying is that
what is the solution, you think? What is the broad solution?
It's a multi-pronged solution. It needs to be customized to each family. So all of those things are a solution. Providing support for the families, especially single parent households, providing job opportunities for these young people, for our youth. Right now, the Summer Youth Employment Program is accepting applications. Since I have him on the phone, Mada, can we do a workshop on summer youth employment application? The deadline is April 22nd, please, at some point for our family.
I hate you, Mona.
But we need to do one so that we can let our families know that the deadline is there. It's an online application. It's for kids ages 14 to 22. So, that's at least $15 an hour. We need to let
you can include me there. I'll be supportive to it.
Yes, the wonderful. Then I add you to the panel where we're gonna do. Let's put this word out. Let's get our youth applying for Summer Youth Employment Program. And then if there are other programs that are year-round programs, let's also get them applying for those. But right now, there are 100,000 seats. Summer Youth Employment Program, $15 an hour. that we need to let our parents know and our youth know about it so that their children can apply, so that at least they know between 9 and 5, their children are, at work and they're not in the street being bored. So
Yeah, and
Listen,
you just tell them that they have to buy, when they go, they'll get their own sneakers. You understand?
that will give them an incentive. Okay, so we can come to we can come to Mara because he has been quiet for a while. We need to hear from him, and then from there we can just close to wrap it up. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. So anyway, thank you again. And Mona, I mean, I don't know, you're my ride or die, but sometimes I don't like you. Because you just keep piling the stuff on me.
Okay.
And I think Mona is right. We need more leaders like other community leaders to step up and help in this work. There's just too few of us who are actually trying to get things done. People like yourself, Mamadou, myself, Mona, and others. But it's not enough. We need more and more of our leaders to come to the table and make sure that these agencies, these powers that be, those who have the money, know that yes, our community is in crisis as well. Our communities need all the support services that Mona has mentioned. Um, and also just to touch on something that Mamadou mentioned earlier, like get involved with your kids. Your kids should be your priority, right? So I adjusted my work schedule to attend the parents association meetings when my kids were in elementary school. Alhamdulillah, my kids are grown now. They're grown, they're much older, they're doing well. I thank God. But when they were going to elementary school, I adjusted my work schedule. Instead of being off on the weekends, I took a day off during the week so I can attend the PA meetings and be part of my kids' elementary school. My kids knew I was there every Wednesday and Thursday. I'm in that school. From the time I drop them off, I don't leave that building until I walk out with them and bring them home on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Every single teacher in that school knew who I was. The principal knew who I was. I ultimately even became chairman of the school leadership team in that school. I started out as a PA, and as a PA assistant treasurer, I became treasurer, I became vice president, and I became chairman of the school leadership team, where we actually helped to create the curriculum of that school. Because that school, our kids are unique. So whatever curriculum you create you have to factor the environment of the kids into play. And that's what we help to do. So yeah, Mamadou, I think you're absolutely right. We need to prioritize our kids. But there is so much more that's out there that is fighting against this. Even as we can prioritize as much as we can, but there are so many also factors that is competing against our priorities. So you have the environmental issues. Where we live plays a role in how our kids, because your kid, you can do all the right things. Your kid walks out, he gets bullied by some children. You're not there to protect him at all times, right? And this is something that the DA mentioned, that in some cases they understand that our kids are doing things as a sort of protection against bullying that they're experiencing. So guess what? If he feels like, I need a gun to protect myself, or I need this knife to protect myself, and to keep myself from being bullied. These are things that is happening. So again, this is a multi-pronged approach. There's no one solution that we can say, okay, this is the one that's going to keep our kids safe. But I think we can always start with the support services that Mona mentioned. When you keep your kids busy, guess what? They don't have time to get involved in other things. So I applaud you, Mamadou, for making sure your kids are in soccer, making sure that you take them to the soccer. They know, because if he's going to misbehave, hey, my dad is around, I'm not going to do that, right? So these are some of the things that we need to be engaging with our community.
Yeah,
And I also like one thing.
I'm glad that you say. I'm glad that
Let
you
me
said
mention.
that because I was in the soccer practice, and then there was another kid that came with my kid, and then that kid goes around and then asks people money. Can you give me $1? Can you give me $1? I need water.
Wow.
My parents didn't give me money. So
Wow.
when that kid was working with my kid, he became a friend to my kid at the soccer ground. And then the next thing is I started to see that, you know, he goes with my one of my kids. And the next thing is I saw $3 with them. I told my kid, where is this money from? They said they found it on the floor. Wow. They found it on the floor. On the hole, when I dig in, I realized that this kid was taking my kid and going around asking people for dollars.
Begging for money. Yes.
So immediately, it's good that I was there, that I observed that. Immediately, I cut the tie between that boy and my kid. I said, this cannot happen. You know, these are the kind of things that get your kid into bad behavior.
Absolutely.
Because my kid never asked people for money. So
absolutely.
Just to mention you, just to add point to your point. That's
absolutely. And that's a great example of what I was trying to say, this multi-pronged approach. And I wanted to add, one of the things that I really appreciate about what you do is the fact that you use the technology, the same technology or the social media stuff that everybody talks about. You use that as a way of, guess what, being involved in your children's life, making sure that you are aware of whatever they're doing, whether it's on social media, whether it's on their schoolwork, all that stuff. And I think it's important that, and I'm gonna put you on the spot the same way that Mona put me on the spot, that we need, we need to have some kind of an education on how to use information technology to protect our kids, or to do some of the things that you talked about. Like, I don't know how to put parent safety lock on my kids. I mean, like I said, my kids are grown, they do whatever, but there are parents that don't know how to do these things.
And kids are still young.
And this is I think this is really important, especially in today's world, to be able, because some people, I don't know how to program my remote to take away, to put safety lock on things like that, to keep, I have one grandchild. He teaches me how to program. Like, he's only 5 years old.
Yeah, kids are
but
smart.
They're smartest. They are the smartest.
Exactly. So these are some of the challenges that we face. And I think, Mamadou, I think one of these days we're going to put together something that you can come in and present and teach us how to do some of these things. Because every little bit is going to help. Even if one parent gets to know how to, put safety locks on their children's computers and things like that, all of these approaches would help. So that's what I wanted to add. And thank you very much. And Mona, yeah, we definitely need to do something on the summer youth, because it's a way for these kids, number one, to be active, number two, to make some money, and number three, the parents to always know that, from this time to this time during the summer, which is the period when most crimes happen, because the weather's nice, everybody's outside, the kids are hanging out in the parks and all of that, that's where most crimes happen. So if these kids are involved in the summer youth employment program that's out there, they're busy, they're going to work just like everybody else. So they get to experience what their parents experience and getting paid for it. They're busy. So by the time they come home, they're tired, they just want to eat and go to sleep, or watch a little TV and go to sleep. That keeps them busy, that keeps them off the streets, and that makes it a lot safer for them. So this is what I wanted to add to what Mona said. Thank you.
Thank you. So so let's and ask
Thank you, madam.
we wrap it up now.
Yeah, for me, I just wanted to just give an advice, because I think Mara or Mona said that here, I mean, with your lot of communities, these breadcrumbs, you have to make sure that you form, or you come together and have some people as your voice. You understand? Because only if you come together, you can achieve certain things. Not when somebody is here, you have the Gambian community there, you have the Guinea community, South Africa community there, and. You have to come together and say it's African voice. I think it's going to be in this case easier. You understand? And then it's a voice together and then power together. And these people will hear that and respect it even more than when everybody is coming out from his hole saying this, next day they forget about that, the next person come from there. Just try and come together. It's even a good example to show the kids that they are from the same place. They have to get this mutual love and then this mutual understanding within them. Because the parents are showing already this example. This coming togetherness is also very important and a very big impact to the kids because they always look, what are our parents doing? How are they behaving? You know, are they united? You know, or are they breadcrumbs? And that's the way they also come. You know, everybody will try
I
to have
like
his
that word
own
breadcrumbs.
corner.
That means we are all broken apart. Yeah.
But that's why Mona said that. I think, you have here community, there community. We have that here also. But you know what people do? That was in Hanover time. They come together, Ghana, Freetown, everything. They play their tournament, in summer, make their parties together. It's Africa. When you are far away, come together. So we have some countries, I don't want to mention them here, they are from the East. They never try to even show themselves that they are Africans. But we understood that, and the people left them alone. They never invite them even because they always try to show that but doesn't matter. Such people leave them out. Come together so that you are one Africa, one voice, discuss your things, meet some certain days, and try to help each other. When one parent is weak, others will come and help. When one parent cannot have problem with the kids, you have your special advisors who will go there and visit them and talk to them. Things like that. You help each other, and don't wait for the government also. For the government and the mayor, you just go for money. They are ready to help, but they first need to know how serious is your community,
Yeah.
how big,
Yeah, I think Alas, what
and
you're saying
help
is,
you. Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
what
it's
you're
very
saying
important.
is this leadership thing, community leadership across the African community here. We need to continue to build, like the vacuum that is left there that Mona spoke about. So I think that is a challenge that we have to work on as we move ahead.
It will be very, very, very successful. You will surprise yourself, because when you show togetherness, everybody will respect you. In this white people society, they will not laugh at you. But when they see that you yourselves are not compromising or you united, there is no respect. They'll never take you serious.
Yeah,
You
thank you.
understand? So you'll see that there will be changes.
Yeah, thank you, Alas, for that. Mona, final words. I mean, and we can go to Mara and Sam. We can go to Sam. Sam can close it.
Yeah, but I think Sam is not online.
Yeah, no, I mean, my final words echo what Mata said. Parents, get involved with your children's school. Go to your PA or PTA meetings, get involved, volunteer at your child's school so that you get to see who their friends are, so that you get to see what is going on in the school itself, so that you also get involved in things going on in the curriculum, because there are certain things, which is a whole other conversation, but there are certain things that they're trying to put into our school curriculums that many of us parents, especially African parents, may not exactly agree with. So as well as,
can you give us an example?
But that's a whole other conversation. But it's really important that parents get involved, know who your friends are, know who your children speak to on the phone, who they're playing video games with, who they're going to the park with. that's, that is, as far as I'm concerned, a priority. We need to speak to our children, and more importantly, we need to listen to our children. We need to hear what
Yeah,
they
I want to.
know.
Yeah,
That's it.
I want to add one. I want to add one thing to that. I always like to give an example, and I always like to give an example with my kids because I stay with them a lot. So there was I got my kid a phone, and then he came from school. He came home, and then when we I don't know, when they were out in a break, the phone kept ringing. Okay, I said, gee, I didn't give you a phone for people to be calling you. I give you a phone in case you're emergency, you're in the bus or something happened. Okay, so he said, but this kid is calling me every time he say he wants to talk to me, because his parents are, his mother is, his dad is in hospital, his, mother is have issue at home. I said, but you are not a therapist. If he has issue at home, it doesn't mean that he will be calling you every 5 minutes. Kevin is calling. I said, listen, I gotta, either text him and tell him that you are not his therapist. He cannot be calling you and then, out of, you have your brothers and sisters here. Then he started to say, and then that's when the kids stop calling. But the kid will call and call every 5 minutes and 10 minutes. If I'm not there, if I'm at work, they probably will be talking a whole host of things. And he might even be telling my kids stuff that, weird stuff that, actually don't even, we don't do here. So that's why it's always important to look at your kid's phone. And Mara said it right, to have those programs installed. Whatever they do, they have to take permission. If you don't activate it, they don't access those areas. Even their schoolwork, they have to give me my parent code. They come, I look at it and I give them. So those activities need to be monitored, and your kids will feel like, my dad is watching. I can't do this, I can't do that. Because they need phones, of course, for emergency in the bus, whatever happens out there. But you need to also make sure that they don't go to sites that would change them on you, make them become a bad kid. So yeah, thank you, Mona, for that. I just wanted to add that example. Yeah. Mara, final words.
Yeah, Mr. Sawane, okay. Mother, you can come.
Yeah.
Everything we've said is important, and I think my final words really is to thank you, Mamadou, and your team, Alas and Sam, for this
welcome.
opportunity on this platform. This is a conversation. Yeah, this is a conversation that needs to happen. If not once a week, at least once a month. Because it's a loaded issue, and it involves our kids, and our kids are the future. And so if we don't protect our future, then guess what?
No future.
We die out. Exactly. There is no future. So I think this is a very, very important conversation. I just want to thank you for the opportunity to speak on this platform. And I also want to urge you, Mamadou, I know you're busy, but we need you to be more engaged and more active in on some of these issues. You're doing it already.
I have to really adjust.
No, you're doing it. Trust me, you're doing it. You're doing it already. We know you're doing it, but we need more. Just like Mona said, she keeps piling and piling and piling on.
So you want some of those pilings to come to me?
Exactly.
See where you're going.
Exactly. And I also want to just take this opportunity to let everyone know how impressive this young sister of ours, Mona, is. And I urge all of you, if you get a chance, please check out the news. She's the only woman actually publishing a newspaper right now in New York City, called Little Africa newspaper. And there's an online version as well as a printed version. Please, if you get a chance, check out. It's a bi-weekly. I know she's too humble to talk about it, but I am willing to talk about it because this young lady is she's died. I'm not advertising because the reason I'm talking about the newspaper is because she addresses a lot of these issues in her newspaper using the experience and the network and the resources that she has. And I think, if we get a chance to read the newspaper and the contents of the newspaper, we get to understand a lot of these issues much better, because of the perspective that she brings, to not only the newspaper, but her online platform and all the other platforms that she has. I don't know if she mentioned this in her introduction, but I want to let
Not
the
actually.
panelists know. Mona is the one who actually sued the New York City Department of Education for the billions, not millions, billions of dollars that they were shortchanging our kids. So this young lady brought billions of dollars to help our children in the Department of Education. So
Wow.
again, if we need, if we have the resource, we have the network, we have the, everything that we need is available. We just have to tap into it.
Tap into it.
Exactly, tap into it, come together, as you said, and organize and galvanize and advocate and scream and not take no for an answer. Because a lot of times you're going to get that political talk, and all that jive talk. But we have to be able to dive into the issues. And that's why I brought out the issue of the newspaper, because she addresses a lot of these issues in the newspaper, so that we can better, understand the issues and be able to find tangible solutions to the issues. So thank you, Mamadou. Thank you, Alas. Thank you, Sam, for this opportunity. And I look forward to,
Thank you.
more conversations on that. Thank you.
We'll arrange more conversation on specific topic as we move along. I think this is very important for our folks all over the world. So thank you so much for that.
As I experience what Mona is doing, I think Mr. Stawane, using this platform or other platforms, you have a lot of connections online to try and make sure that people know about newspaper or any other, because it's all concerning your community and Africa and African community.
Definitely.
So that people know about it. Maybe you never heard of it, about now
No,
you know it.
I'm surprised. I mean,
So that's how
I've been lost. I've been lost now. I've been in the city. I've been lost.
That's it. So that's how news goes. Now some will know it, some will tell a friend, and you can tell your community also about it. They'll know, and it can help.
Thank you.
Especially
Thank you
if you
so
have
much.
something to communicate.
Thank you for that good work, Mona. I mean, I will dig in more, and then get more information about your work. But we are so proud of you for all those great works. Sam, you want to come in, and then we final words, and then we can close it.
Yep, I would say first I apologize. I got to my destination. I needed to drop some stuff off, but I stayed on the phone to listen to your conversations, and I think
you didn't miss anything. So
guys, I did. I heard everything. I was paying attention. I heard everything. So really, this is a great day for having such a great conversation from both Mona and Mada. We really appreciate your time. This is something that is going to go a long way. And a lot of Gambians and Africans in general will listen to this and say, wow, great information here, great advices here from all of you guys. I think it will be well taken. So we really appreciate your time. I just want to say thank you and thank you and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. And we're going to have them back on different.
Thank you, Sam.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Alice, too. Thank you. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, Alice, final word. That's it.
Yeah, my final word. Yeah, I just advise. I'll come back to it again. It's for me very important when we talk about community and communities. We need to have community, one community, and everybody is having a part. But let other communities also know that these are the people we have to talk to. It should be well organized. At the beginning, maybe people will not understand it, but I think it's the best, especially if you want to reach certain things. That's my advice anyway.
Thank you so much for you guys. I mean, coming on board. Mada, Mona, we can be more grateful. This is an opportunity actually for to sensitize our community. Our platform is here. We discuss, national, international issues. It doesn't matter where it affects. We're globally represented. Again, it's not only Gambian issues we talk about. So I just want everybody to know that we're gonna share this. And you guys can share the links to different groups so that people can get the information that we had here. I learned something that I haven't even known coming to this show. So that tells you about, others, so it is a great opportunity. So we thank you guys for taking your precious time on Sunday. And Alas, Sam, my co-host, you're here every week. Thank you for everything doing for the community.
Thank you.
So we'll
thanks, Alice. Thank you.
Happy USA, Mona.
Mona, you want to say something?
No, just thank you for the opportunity to engage your community and speak on your platform.
Yeah,
and
nice.
I will be on you the same way I'm on MADA. So just coming up with our Summer Youth Employment Program workshop that we need to do very soon. Deadline is April 22nd. So
that's very good. That's very good.
Thank you. We look forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
All right.
Thank you all. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. All right.
Take care.